the time has come, the walrus said.
Oh, the time has come indeed. I've been looking forward to this one. Ladies, gentlemen, all viewers at home, welcome. I hope you're ready for a bit of a scare in the middle of... July? This is Super Castlevania IV. Every 100 years, the forces of good mysteriously start to weaken. Thus, the power of Dracula starts to revive itself. His power grows stronger and stronger every 100 years. Dracula has revived many times. However, his sinister actions have been constantly thwarted by the Belmont family. It's been 100 years since the last confrontation between Dracula and the Belmont family. But now the serenity of Transylvania is being threatened by destructive forces. On a dark and eerie night, Dracula rose from his grave to unleash his destructive power over the countryside. Once again, Simon Belmont is called upon to destroy Dracula. With only his whip and courage, he sets out to restore peace to Transylvania. And here we are, Super Castlevania IV. I'm Jockey, of course. Jaina is joining me once again. Now this is a very special occasion, and I might be wrong about this, but I'm almost certain that this is the 50th series I've started. Now, this doesn't mean it's the 50th game I've played. After all, some games only lasted one episode, or maybe I played multiple games in one episode like my Atari grab bags. I'm talking purely about series that I've done, playlists of a certain game in particular. And what better game than Castlevania IV, the 16-bit jump for the classic NES series, which was the very first game I ever played on the channel back in 2018. Can you believe it's been, well, almost 3 years now? And of course, for such a special occasion, Jaina had to join me once more, although it looks like she's taking a bit of a nap right now. That's okay, Jaina, you can rest up. Let's go ahead and start a brand new playthrough, and looks like the continue option, this is kind of a save system in this game, although I've never really needed it. I can usually beat this game in about one sitting. There's a lot to unpack about this game in particular. First, the story and its significance. We're Simon Belmont again? It's been 100 years, but the first Castlevania couldn't have happened 100 years ago. Simon dies at the end of Castlevania II. Well, this game is considered kind of a soft remake of the original. It's appropriate, after all, we're on our new console, and everything's all fancy and good looking. But another thing to unpack is the new control scheme of this game, because it is vastly different. The first thing you may notice is that Simon, it seems like he almost clings to his whip a moment after it drops. As we whip, we can do this dangly thing, which is pretty neat. But let's face it, that's not really the most important changes. The most important changes are all the different directions you can whip. Because yes, we can finally whip in more than one direction. And we have a massive whip too. Also, this track is incredible. Other big changes, we can jump on and off of stairs. They're a lot easier to control. And the biggest change of all, I'd say, is we can control our jump in midair. Some people have complained about this game's playstyle before, saying that it kind of takes away from the grounded kind of tank controls of the original. And honestly, that's okay. Maybe you prefer that style, but I think this game is built around the new style. This game was meant to be sort of a new foray for the Castlevania series. We were kind of done with the original classics now, and we were moving on to this new era where Simon wasn't so tanky. Oh, one last big change is our special items can now be used at just the push of the right bumper. Which, of course, just comes with the fact that we're on a Super Nintendo controller, so we have buttons like that to use. Now, because your whip is so versatile, it makes a lot of sub-weapons in this game fairly useless, but the holy water is still fairly good, and they actually improve the knife if I remember correctly. I mean, yeah, the sub-weapons in this game aren't as good as the whip, but most of the sub-weapons in the last game weren't as good as the holy water, so it's just a different piece of Simon's arsenal that's incredibly useful. But yeah, this is an incredible track. I think this is just Simon Belmont's theme, in terms of like a track name. Which is kind of appropriate. It's his big return after he was absent from 3, and after he was kind of treated poorly in 2. Ooh, here's another fun gimmick we have. Swinging! It honestly doesn't control amazingly. It could be a lot better, it could be a lot worse. It's just kind of there for fun. Changes up the level design a little bit in instances like this, where you gotta make sure you swing on by safely. Also, you'll find a lot more food just in candles in this game.
When I'm crouching, you can make me do the duck walk! Cool, huh?
This game is a lot of fun to just go back to. Even if I don't like it quite as much as the original game, I still really enjoy this overall. And I'd say it's a fantastic Super Nintendo game to get. Holy Water works just like it did in the last game, where it has that kind of, that stun effect on the ground, so still very useful, I'd say. I don't know if I mentioned this at some point during the Castlevania IV Let's Play, but the Famicom version of that game, for whatever reason, had a much better soundtrack, I'd say. And I think it was due to the superior technology. But luckily, we have some very high-quality tracks from the 16-bit era, both of this game, as well as other games like Rondo of Blood and Bloodlines. But I'll be getting to those in due time. The fact that we have all these backgrounds and they're moving, this is certainly a great-looking game, especially for early Super Nintendo. 92, like, the Super Nintendo didn't have a lot of big Super Nintendo games with fancy graphics that you'd think of at the time. Like Star Fox, I don't think was out at the time. Games like Final Fantasy VI and Donkey Kong Country, you know, Super Mario RPG. Developers were still kind of learning the new hardware and just making fancier looking sprites, but I think this is a huge step for the Super Nintendo overall. I'd say it still looks fairly decent to this day, actually. Oh, and we have our first kind of boss here. Come on out, skeleton horse guy. Ow. Oh, it seems only his head is vulnerable. There we go, now it's just a skeleton guy. Okay, not much of a boss, I'll be honest. And we gotta jump for the orb, you know we do. I love how that little bit of Simon's theme plays at the end of every stage, once you pick up the orb. It's like the developers know you're gonna jump for the orb, so they want to master that kind of freeze frame you have there. Moving on to stage 2, we can kind of see a map of where we're going. We actually don't start in the castle this time, we kind of start outside and make our way there, which is kind of a neat change, I'll say. And you can tell from the map here that we're going to have a boss kind of halfway through and then no boss at the end of the stage. You know, this level's track is okay. I don't think most tracks in this game quite reach the same heights that the first level does. Tracks like this are a lot more atmospheric, I'll say. Traveling over to this side of the screen. I like how there's a lot of stage transitions in this without having to use doors. It makes for a lot of different kind of environments like we have now. There we are, got a big chunk of health. There's still wall meat even though there's some food in the candles now. They gotta stick to some tradition after all. Here we have that mid-stage boss we'd been alluded to earlier. And it's Medusa! And just like, well, every Medusa boss in a Castlevania game, they're very easy. Why did Medusa get this treatment? They don't deserve it. Oh wow, we got triple of the cross, nice. Oh nice, we're just killing those guys as soon as they come on screen. Nice, look at that, using those crosses to our advantage. We're doing very well on lives right now. I mean, we name ourselves at the beginning, I don't know if there's any sort of, you know, help me equivalent from Castlevania 3. I don't think there is, but if there is, you really don't need it. This game is a lot easier than the first 3 Castlevanias. It gets tricky towards the end, though. There are some stages towards the end that are very challenging, specifically because of their level design, but I'll get into that. And yeah, we're on stage 3 now. Stage 3, as we can see, is down here in the caves, and then up a waterfall. Oh, I remember this one, and we got a boss waiting for us at the end, too. You know what? I actually like this theme for this level. It's not like your typical Castlevania, you know, exciting sort of thing. But it's just right for a stage like this, because this isn't the kind of stage we had seen up to this point. Every other Castlevania stage was like in the castle, you know, leading up to Dracula, but here, we're in just some strange cave with some mudmen, some enemies we've never really seen before. So having this kind of more atmospheric track that's a lot slower, it makes a lot of sense, honestly. Get him with the dangle, Simon, get him with the dangle. That'll do. Oh, the cross is really good against these guys. Look at this. Look at that, just melting him. Whew. I gotta watch out for these falling stones here. Go ahead. Ah, I waited too long. Or, did I go too fast? I don't know. Ooh, they explode on impact too. Could use some health right about now. Otherwise we're gonna lose our triple cross. Oh, we're on to the next bit of the stage. Now this bit is a lot... It's kind of where the game picks up in difficulty, I'd say. In this part of the stage, we kind of have to ascend this waterfall-like area, and there's a lot of these spitting enemies, kind of like from Mario 2 USA. I also kind of like the music track here, honestly. It's also kind of atmospheric, but I think it's appropriate as we're kind of ascending that it's this building track that starts out as just a couple of really hard notes. Oh, and look at that background with the kind of orange sky. Isn't that neat? Paints this whole picture of us kind of arriving here close to nighttime. We left the city and said goodbye to all our family as we had to embark and face Dracula, as every Belmont does. And now as the sun sets, we know we're getting ever closer. I think I gave myself chills with that one. I ought to do this stuff more often. Do y'all want Jockey Reed stuff? Another heart here. We made it to the next screen. I think we're getting closer to the boss. I think it's on this screen somewhere. Ooh! We have what would appear to be some pianos or just some kind of obstacles falling from the sky. Oh, and these guys are getting us too. We're a little low on health. These dragon guys who are... Oh, health. Whew. These dragon guys from the original games look a lot more fluid and alive here. I don't know how to feel about this music track. I think it's kind of trying to embody some of that more exciting Castlevania feel, but something about the instrumentation and the style just doesn't really work with that. I don't know, maybe I'm just not quite catching what it's going for. Man, this stage is a lot longer than I remember. I don't know, I'm not exactly sure how many parts this series is going to last, how many levels we'll do per part. We'll have to see. This is kind of just a typical platformer series like some others I've done on the channel before. I don't expect it to last as long as your RPG series like Pokemon or Earthbound, but, you know, it'll make for a fun experience nonetheless. Ah, yes, the Twin Dragons. I almost forgot about you two. And, oh my god. Buddy, that ain't gonna do, I'm afraid. I got a lot of ammo. Dear God, we destroyed them.
House! That you gonna calm your ass down.
That's what Dashi does, right? Yeah, at the end he does. Oh, he does that. Right, he does that.